Hello folks, we're in Florence today, our first full day in Florence, and we're overlooking the Ponte Vecchio, Ponte, Italian word for bridge. So as you can see, it's the famous one that connects the Uffizi viewing gallery and the palace.
Palazzo Vecchio.
Palazzo Vecchio. But we're overlooking the River Arno here, and we're actually going to be doing our first. You can see a couple of rowing teams out there, right in front of the bridge, a little bit smaller. But we're taking things a little bit slow, just with the amount of walking and stuff we've been doing in the past days. But we're going to alter our trip a little bit here. We're going up to kind of up on that high ridge there with the trees, just in the middle right of the screen, and it's the
Piazzale Michelangelo.
Piazzale Michelangelo. But just a free overlook for the city, so it's a good place to go to, and you can overlook things. You don't have to pay for as much. You don't have to stand as much. So that's one of the nice things of adjusting your trip a little bit, is that you don't do the things that you have to pay a lot for, and if you're not going to really enjoy it, you can skip out on that part. But we'll check in from the outlook. Here we are, starting on the Piazzale Michelangelo Overlook. You can see the approach is not for those of faint of heart or with any type of mobility issues. They goes from a long ramp into a longer staircase, so just keep that in mind when you're heading up here for the overlook. Here we are at the Piazzale Michelangelo Overlook. Again, this is a free attraction you can walk up to, and if you have mobility issues, you can park in the back there. You see a couple of tour buses that regularly stop at the place. You have a couple of just public parking behind the vendors there. You have the statue of Michelangelo, and we'll pan across here until we start overlooking the city of Florence on the background of the Arno River. So we'll keep going around here, and it's a great little stop because it gives you a wonderful elevation and dominating view of the city's well-known features. And to help explain and point some of those out oh look, Ashley's here.
So obviously he said it's an overlook. You can see a nice view of the Arno River down there. You can see here's one of the towers that's part of the old wall, and we'll see more of that as we pan through. I believe the Green Dome is a synagogue, and then we go to this first big church structure here, and that is the Santa Maria Cathedral, I believe. Yeah, he'll point because I can't tell where the camera is. And as we go to the left here, the next big imposing dome, that is the San Lorenzo Basilica. That's one of the most famous ones in town here. When you get closer, it's green and pink and white, and just this amazing view. You can climb up both the bell tower and the dome. However, you probably won't get as good of a view as where we are now. So if you want to save some money and not climb those, this is a good alternative, but you can do those as well. I believe it's about 18 euro. The next one we go to is actually the Santa Maria Basilica. I believe, don't quote me on any of this, they might not be exactly in the right spot, but as far as you can see, it's like every block has a very historic building, whether it's the Galileo Museum or the Dante Museum, or there's just so much history in this town. If we keep going, you can still see the Ponte Vecchio, which we showed you earlier, and then just off to the left a little more, we might not be able to see it as well, but there is the Pitti Palace and the Boboli Gardens. You can kind of see the gardens on the hill here. And again, we see that old wall showing up. So I'm naming some of these sites. If you're a big Dan Brown fan, Inferno, the book, much of that takes place in the city, so we kind of showed a few of those main sites.
So we're at the Bardini Gardens here. They're just directly adjacent to the Boboli Gardens. We kind of stumbled across it. Instead of walking all the way around the hill to the PD Palace, we were kind of cutting through the gardens and doing it a little bit in reverse. But this was actually abandoned until roughly the 2000s, from like almost the 1500s. They'd had Bardini family had financial trouble, and a lot of this stuff had just recently been restored here. So here we are, kind of nearing the end of the Bardini Gardens before we head over to the Boboli Gardens. We are at the Bardini Villa. You can see a little bit of a rose garden, rose patch out in the front of the villa here. We'll pan. It's kind of a simpler Italian style of just the stucco, a couple stories up, more like kind of a traditional manor house, but the view is all about this location. You can see as we get over here, you have the dome in the background, Florence spread out in front. You know, just a kind of an excellent little picturesque spot. Sit out, have your espresso and a nice baguette or something, and overlook the city while it starts moving in the morning. Here we are at one of the Boboli Gardens featured locations in Dan Brown's third book, the book Inferno. Takes place in Florence here, but you can imagine Robert Langdon and Sienna kind of coming down the little covered tree foliage way through the garden here as they're trying to escape, I think it's Bruder? Yeah. Bruder. But they end up actually hiding in the back of the Madonna Grotto here. So you get closer, just to the left is the gray door with no way in. But you can kind of see it's actually closed here in the winter, but during the summer you can see there'd be this wonderful little canal work with water running, and Robert and Sienna would have been very back there behind the pair of statues there. So kind of a little cool spot if you're into that book series or not, but it is one of the more famous locations, or made famous locations by Dan Brown's writing there. Alright, we're at the exit of the Boboli Gardens here. We spent about 2 hours just kind of wandering through the actual garden section.
And there's quite a bit more that we could have spent more time. If you want to, if you're going to do that, I would definitely bring a snack. In the winter, it seems like all of the restaurants and coffee shops in the gardens are closed. But it's still a great, I mean, the weather's still gorgeous, still a lot to see. We didn't go in the PD Palace, which would have added quite a bit of time, or the Porcelain Museum, but these are all things that you can see if you come here. There's also a costume gallery.
So you can almost spend an entire day here, or at least better part of half of a day, depending on how early you get there. With that, we're going to go find a snack, and we'll see you at the Ponte Vecchio.